Hi, I'm Pat Barnard, Group Managing Editor for TMCnet, reporting live from IT Expo West in Los Angeles. Joining me right now is Sanjit Chatterjee from REVE Systems. He's Director of Global Marketing for the company. Welcome.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Thank you.
Good.
Very good. How are you?
Good, good. So I understand that you guys you're a VoIP soft switch maker specializing in the mobile VoIP arena. Is that right?
Yeah, we have basically two ranges of products. One is on the mobile voice over IP side, where we kind of have industry leadership. Into mobile clients, we enable you to make voice over IP calls from your mobile phones, and also the infrastructure products, which are the VoIP switch and the tunneling products and the billing products.
Ah, okay. All right, great.
So
Okay,
that's
good.
the range we have.
Okay, great. So tell me a little bit about like what's new with the company. Have you had any new product announcements or?
Yeah, so I think we are enhancing our switch capabilities, and I think the soft switch, our own proprietary product is a recent. We launched this in early 2010, and we are kind of expanding the capability from a standalone and to a distributed architecture. And we have a tunneling product called the Byte Saver.
Okay.
And that saves on bandwidth consumption when you make VoIP calls from mobile phones.
Okay.
And which is a very key thing for the retail end user because they want to save on data costs.
Right, sure.
And that's where we have launched a new version, which is more robust and which is kind of more robust for the service provider,
Right.
and better bandwidth saving for the end user.
Right,
So
right.
we just launched a recent version, and we are expanding the portfolio of our switch in terms of to get new features into it.
Okay,
So
great.
those are the new things that we are working on.
Right, sure. And certainly that ability to be able to compress the data, particularly for mobile networks, is really important. So are there some new strategies there in terms of how you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, we do business in, as I said, like about 60 countries, and many countries, they don't have 3G as yet. They're
Right.
still on 2G networks,
Right.
where bandwidth availability is a key issue.
Right.
And where a standard mobile client will not work because it will require a certain, minimum bandwidth.
Right.
So this product, is very helpful in those markets, where you get a much more clarity of voice using this product. And hence, and also because still most consumers on pay-as-you-go plan pay for data,
Right.
And that's quite a significant cost in a mobile network still
Right.
today.
Right.
So I think that helps them to reduce their own costs and also offers a much better voice clarity than a standard application on the market.
Right, right.
So and that's where our benefit is to the service provider for
Right.
using this product.
Right, okay. Seems like mobile VoIP is something we've been talking about for years. I mean, it's here in the United States, it's something we've been talking about for a long time, and it just seems like it's never really quite there yet. You know what I mean? It's in terms, especially from the consumer end. I realize that all the big carriers are rolling out, their 4G networks now, LTE, WiMAX, what have you, and soon we will have the capacity to be able to do mobile VoIP on a more of a sort of a general basis. What's your take on that? I mean, would you say that it's been a long time in the coming, and how soon are we before it becomes ubiquitous?
Well, I guess mobile VoIP. I mean, while the announcements may have been, but actually the product has been there about like 2 years now in terms of established products. So that's like a 2-year cycle.
Right.
In 2010. Obviously, there are a lot of things. The key issues are you have multiplicity of handsets and operating systems on the mobile side.
Right.
So essentially, as a software service provider, you need to take care of multiple operating systems
Right.
and mobile handsets to make it work.
Right.
Many handset manufacturers like BlackBerry, the initial models were really not compatible for mobile voice over IP.
Right.
And that was a key, issue that challenge that one had faced. So that's one side, and I think then other thing is the bandwidth and the availability of 3G networks. So while I think on the bandwidth and the network capability, that strength is increasing, and you see much more deployments and more deployments of 4G, but still on the handset side, the challenges remain because the newer and newer handsets come out every day. And again, they're not on the same platforms.
Right.
So for the software to get compatible to all these different handsets and operating systems is a challenge.
Right.
But mobile voice over IP is definitely gaining a lot of presence. It's today by far the most preferred way of calling long distance.
Right.
And at the retail level, the enterprise level, maybe still a lot of people are not migrating to that as yet.
Right.
But we are seeing much more penetration happening and as we go along.
So you think it's safe to say that all the major handset makers and all the major wireless service providers are on board for this?
And this in the big large telcos, like the large mobile service providers, they're really not seeing, because obviously to offer voice over IP for them is a reduction of their revenues.
Right.
So let's say they were to market a long distance call at 20 cents. They don't have any incentive to sell that at 2 cents right now.
Right, they'd have to make up for it through the data, right?
That's right.
Yep.
So that's where, and they're not able to do that because in the data side, most people are offering, unlimited plans.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of that, the mobile service providers are a little cautious of, migrating to VoIP.
Right.
And that's where I think is the alternate service providers or the MVNOs who are offering this.
Right.
But to be a mass level, I think the mobile service providers need to come aboard. And it started, so it's O2 in Germany, we have seen AT&T which has gone with Skype.
Right.
So we are seeing a Vodafone in Egypt, it does VoIP offering.
Right.
So
Okay.
there are some of the instances, but once obviously everybody gets along, that's where your mass market, knowledge and penetration will probably happen.
Right, there has to be sort of this leveling of the playing field that happens.
Absolutely.
Now, do you think that these LTE and WiMAX network deployments that are well underway in the United States now, will be sort of like a catalyst for leveling that playing field and making it more ubiquitous, as I said?
Absolutely. In the sense, these technologies come in, you'll have much more bandwidth available at the retail hand level. But in the WiMAX or the LTE side, I'm still not sure about the capability of the handsets, because world over we are seeing a preference for wireless as the preferred device and the access point
Right.
for consumers. In developing markets, you see wireline is reducing,
Right.
whereas wireless is increasing. Let's say, for example, in India, we're adding like 10 million consumers a month on the wireless side,
Right.
whereas the wireline numbers are reducing.
Right.
So, similarly, it has to be wireless. So any new technology has to develop. So I'm still not very sure on the LTE and the WiMAX wireless handset capabilities.
Okay.
Because we haven't seen the handsets becoming as smart as a regular GSM or CDMA handsets.
Right.
So I think that's still more of a home broadband kind of a market or access market.
Okay. Uh-huh.
It's not still a communication model.
Right.
Or is this not still a 360-degree communication model as yet.
Right.
Once that becomes then I think it will benefit the overall community.
Right. What about consumer desire for mobile VoIP? Obviously, people want to be able to make their calls for less money, but then again, when you look at the way the whole market started with dual mode phones, the fact that you could only make VoIP calls over a Wi-Fi network, you had to get near a hotspot in order to be able to use a service like, for example, TruePhone in the beginning. Would you say that was sort of a barrier for consumers to be able to sort of understand the value of mobile VoIP?
Yes, earlier obviously you could only do it on Wi-Fi, but now with clients you can do it in 3G and, as I said, even in 2G networks. Now 3G is becoming becoming more penetrated. Most of the carriers are launching 3G.
Right.
The bandwidth availability on the handle is increasing, and as a result of which consumers would want to have one platform for their communications.
Right.
And what we are seeing is a preference to have all communication on the IP side.
Uh-huh.
So even if you're doing a handheld, it's a convergence of devices.
Right.
So the handle, you're doing more emails, you're doing some YouTube and other streaming, and you're also doing voice.
Right.
And the local voice is obviously still on your GSM, on your mobile service network, but the long distance voice, people are preferring to put it on IP because of costs.
Right.
And I think with the penetration of 3G, now you don't need to look for Wi-Fi hotspots because
Yeah.
it's always available on
Right.
the handheld.
Right.
So, and as a result of which, we are seeing even voice service providers who are, more on the home broadband kind of a market with devices.
Right.
They're launching mobile clients.
Right.
And enabling their consumers to make calls from anywhere.
Right.
And that's what the consumer wants. They want to use one single device to
Right.
make calls. So,
Right.
world over, we are seeing wireless becoming the preferred. So, in most countries, we are seeing, like, let's say I'm sitting in my desk and I have a wireline phone and my mobile phone, but most people are talking on their mobiles
Right.
from the office when
Right.
they have a landline phone next to them.
Right. Yeah.
So people want to make it's a convergence of device, and they want to use one single device.
Right.
And I think mobile VoIP is making them do it.
Right. Okay. So the desire is there by consumers and businesses, but it's a question of the carriers and the handset makers coming along and getting
Absolutely.
on board. Okay.
That's the key.
Okay, great. Good. Now, I understand that you're going to be heading up a session. Is that right? Or you're going to be on a
Yeah,
panel?
I'm on
here?
the panel. Yeah, I'm speaking on this panel, which is called Roam Free, the mobile VoIP.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I think that's tomorrow
Okay.
morning.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
morning. Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of just a
Yes,
couple
I mean,
seconds of insight of what you're going to be talking about?
Well, I guess it's just basically how mobile VoIP is becoming, the preferred, and how do we basically take it to the next level, where the consumers, find it very easy. And
Right.
that's the integration of the handset manufacturer, the mobile service provider, the software service provider.
Right.
So your interface is to be friendly. So that's one of the things our company has been stressing on, is to make the user interface so easy that like your grandmother can use it.
Right, sure, of course.
So that's the approach. I mean, you don't need to be a techie to configure all that.
Right, yeah.
So
Got it.
that's the approach that, and we'll probably talk about that.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, good. We've been talking to Sanjit Chatterjee from REVE Systems. He's the Director of Global Marketing live from IT Expo in Los Angeles.